going to continue thinking about Marimo notebooks. And today we're going to look at some of the functionality in the notebook that may be a little different from what you're used to seeing in a Python notebook, but which gives Marimo sort of its special sauce. So let's go back into this first notebook. You can see that we have all the information that we had before in terms of working with strings and things like that. You may find that you have connected to an existing notebook. That's fine. We'll just say restart, and here we go. Okay. So this is everything we had before. Let's imagine that we wanted to do something else. Like, okay, maybe we still want to see this information, so we know we can hold control and press enter and we'll get the output. We could make a whole new cell. So this says make a cell below, make a cell above, something like this. Okay. Now we can add new code here. So again, if we wanted 3 plus 5, again, there's 5. And there's going to be times like this where we want to have the same result over and over and over again. And the way that this is typically done in Python is that we just assign the result of something like this to what's called a variable. So we'll create a name. Doesn't really matter what it is. So let's just say number equals 2 plus 3. Or we could call this addition underscore solution. And the reason I'm using an underscore here is that I can't have multiple words for a variable. So this is not a valid variable name. And we'll see that because if I try to run this, I'll get an error. And I get in particular a syntax error, which is basically in this case telling us that we made a mistake in writing this out. So I can do this, and now I have addition solution is 2 plus 3. It didn't give me an output because the result of this expression, 2 plus 3, was not given to anywhere to output, but was instead assigned to this particular variable. Okay, if we wanted to understand that, we can actually go back over to here, something we skipped before in one of our videos, explore variables. If I click this, now you can see that I have a variable name, addition solution, equals 5. All right, one thing that you might consider naming this would be sum. But if I write sum, you'll see that this pops up and it's telling me that there's a function named sum that exists. So I don't want to use a name for a variable that's the same as a function that already exists. So how about instead we call it summed numbers. If I hit enter, I've now lost the variable that we had before and got a new variable named sum numbers. All right, what to do with this? Well, one thing I could do is I could just say summed numbers at the end, and now I will get the answer 5. So I've assigned 2 plus 5 to summed numbers, then I've asked for it here. We know there's a better way to ask for things, which is print, and then summed numbers. And so I'll get 5 again, but now below, because print was always giving us the values down below. If I make yet a new cell, I could just do the same thing, print summed numbers. And you'll see that I'll get the same output here because I'm telling it to print the value of the summed numbers, which is 5. Now I could change this if I wanted. I could say the sum numbers, I'm not going to add 2 plus 3. That's kind of boring. How about 2 plus 9? And if I hit enter, what you'll notice is I ran the cell here, but the output down here was updated. And this is the first thing we see in Marimo that's different than what you might expect in other Jupyter notebooks. It keeps track of a particular variable, and when its state is updated, it's updated everywhere. So when we changed the value of sum numbers to 11, then we got 11 down here. And this can be seen in this dependencies. So when I look at the dependencies here, I can oftentimes see the relationship between all the different cells here. And in fact, I'm going to view it as this vertical tree. And you can see that it has cell 1 I zoom in, then I have cell 1, which had the assigned sum numbers, feeds into this cell where I'm just printing it, or that this one depends on that. And then I have another cell where there's no dependencies. Nothing in here is used anywhere else. Nothing in here was created anywhere else. And so this, which is called a directed acyclic graph, is sort of the magic sauce, or one of the magic sauce things of Marimo, where I can never really have something out of date anywhere else. Now, you might say, well, what if I tried to change the state? So what if I said, oh, I want another set of summed numbers, and I want this one to be 5 plus 7, so 12 instead of 11. Now when I try to run this, I'll get an error. And the error is that there was already a value for some numbers assigned. I have it in two different places, here and here, and Marimo won't let me do that. All right, and here's the issue. Both of these sort of feed into here, and I have it in these two places. All right, so it's going to suggest a fix, which is to wrap it in a function. We don't know anything about that yet. I mean, if you know how to write functions and wrap things in functions, that's fine. If you don't worry about it. Just don't do this. Instead, we would say sum numbers 2, let's say. And so we would iterate this once. And now that's totally fine because I have a different variable name. And I can see that back here where I have sum numbers and summed numbers 2. Now I can assign basically anything I want to a variable within Python. And I can do it in multiple cells. So let's go back up here and I can say, let's make something that says greeting. And the greeting is this F string. And we say, hello, my favorite number is, and then we'll do this exclamation point, and inside the curly bracket, since we're using an F string, I'll just say summed numbers. So my favorite number is going to be 11, and I've assigned it to this greeting. Now you can see in this variable explorer, I have a greeting. It says it's a string, and here we have it. Hello, my favorite number is this. All right. So if I wanted to, I could go somewhere like here and say print greeting. And then I'll have the output from there. All right. And that's basically it. That's understanding how the notebooks are working, how we're going to make cells, how we're going to move them around, and then also a little bit about namespaces and the dependencies that are built up within the notebook, and how to track what your variables are and what their states are. And as we move forward and make more and more complex code that lets us build up our data visualizations, then we'll refer back to this to help us troubleshoot any of our problems. All right, with that, have a nice day.